let's go. Welcome in to the MVP Sports and Fantasy Podcast. My name is Tyler Johnson, and with me, as always, is Ryan Elke. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm doing even better now that I heard the news of my favorite player going to the Browns away from the Giants.
Let's start off this podcast with breaking news of Odell Beckham Jr. getting traded to the Browns. Ryan, I know that you already said you're pumped about it. Just tell me more. Tell me more. What are you thinking?
I love it. I feel it's going to be a super exciting team to watch and just be a part of if you are a fan. This partially puts me on the wagon a little bit. It's Odell's been my favorite player since he came into the league, so it's fun to see him. It's actually, for me, I don't like the Giants at all, so just seeing him go to a different team is awesome. I'm like stuttering right now. I'm so excited.
It creates such an exciting Browns team. It's like night and day from 2 years ago. All of a sudden we're here, and we have a Browns roster that's going to look very, very frightening when you go up against them. You got Baker leading it off with Chubb in the backfield, and then you got Landry and Odell side by side, and then you got Higgins and Callaway as the third wide receiver. But just looking at in the tight end and Njoku, just looking at that offense, it's going to be fun to watch, and they have a good offensive line as well.
Some athletic freaks on that offensive side of the ball, and don't forget Kareem Hunt when he comes back.
Yeah, exactly. If he plays,
so scary,
and it's going to be fun. So the deal breaks it down to where the Giants are giving up Odell, and they're receiving the first round pick, which is number 17, and then they're getting their second third round pick, which is number 95, and then along with that, you're getting Jabril Peppers, safety.
He's a project. He has talent.
He was hyped. He was hyped in.
Oh, he was very hyped. He fell a little bit in the draft. He's still in the first round.
Yep.
So he's a project that I think the Giants can deal with as they go into rebuild mode.
Yeah, and getting that first round pick and then that second, third round pick, they're going to be rebuilding probably over on the Giants side of the field. And I have kind of a few questions on what they're going to go for with a couple of first round picks now, and what their wide receiver situation looks like. It's kind of dim over there. You have Shepard as like the one now.
I think you got a couple Shepards. You got Russell Shepard and yeah. So they're struggling on receiver. They may even take one with that 17th pick. You never know. They might go QB receiver, something along those lines. But the trade itself, I think, is good for both teams. As long as Odell Beckham keeps his head on his shoulders, man, he should have no problem succeeding over there in Cleveland, to be honest with you. And like the haul that the Giants got back, I think is more than fair. So it's not like the next topic we'll get into is the Brown deal, where I feel like the Raiders came out big in that one.
Yeah, and that's where I'm a little upset if we have to go into the Brown deal. But talking about the Browns and the Giants, the Browns are on the upswing and the Giants are on the downswing. So it just makes sense that they're pretty much going to be switching spots. The Giants are going to be rebuilding part of their offense, and it's going to be interesting to see what type of free agency signings they might have up their sleeve, or if they're just going to go completely out of the draft and not pick up any big names. So it'd be interesting. Anything you have to add on that one?
Oh, let's move on to the next topic.
All right. So next up, we're going to be talking about Antonio Brown. His deal, it seemed very forced to anyone that was watching it. The Steelers were never going to make out on trading Antonio Brown.
Well, after all the comments Brown made, that's what hurt. It honestly didn't even hurt Brown, as you can see. He even got a contract extension that made him like the highest paid receiver. It just hurt the Steelers.
Yeah.
Everything he said just hurt the Steelers and the trade value. And good old sly John Gruden's like, all right, here's my time to shine. Comes in with a third and a fifth and just scoops up Antonio Brown.
Yeah, in all that extra cash, I mean, it makes him the highest paid wide receiver, and rightfully so. He's an extreme talent, but he did stiff the Steelers pretty good. Not only with the trade, but also just the way he created this type of a distraction and forced himself out of there. So the Steelers really got hit with the shaft this last year coming into this year, and it's going to be interesting because they have great players for the team itself, and the two distractions are gone. So hopefully we can do some rebuilding.
Yeah, the two distractions. I forgot that you are partially Steeler fans, but the two distractions were Bell and Brown. They lost Bell and Brown and got a third and a fifth back. So that's kind of rough.
But hey, what an excellent signing for the Browns, and we're gonna have to see what they do for um, a complement to Brown. I'm wondering what wide receiver is going to be next to him, and Derek Carr, how he's going to hold up his end of the bargain for probably throwing the ball to Antonio Brown 20 times a game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with if Derek Carr's even the quarterback there. You never know; they might go Kyler Murray in draft. But what I wanted to touch on was Brown's attitude and stuff. He was like just jealous of Juju when he was in Pittsburgh, and he doesn't really have to worry about anything in Oakland. It's a good fit. He's gonna get
Yeah,
the rock all the time. It's Jordy Nelson's behind him. He has no competition. He's
and
by himself.
and it kind of like reminds you, if you want to think of like the NBA, it reminds you of kind of how maybe like LeBron James was jealous, or how Kyrie Irving was jealous of LeBron and
That's what it was.
wanted to be the
Kyrie.
one. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
he probably was seeing Juju on the younger guy. He sees himself in Juju how he was when he was younger, and he's like, I need to be. I'm not getting as many as I want. So
He did talk about it, Brown. And there's an interview about him where he was talking about when he was behind all those receivers that the Steelers had
yeah,
back in the day, and how he was so hungry and he knew that he was the best, and he was just grinding and grinding and grinding, and he finally got his time, and he had like the best 7 year stretch of any receiver of all time. So
yeah,
that's even better than Jerry Rice. The numbers in the 7 year stretch.
yeah. And I mean, and he's still going. He's still going strong. It's not like he lost anything. So
Yeah, he's only 31. He's got more years.
and
His
I can
route
see,
running and catching ability alone will
yeah,
keep him in the league for years to come, as long as his head, like his mental
yeah.
attitude.
He doesn't get frustrated. Like if things aren't going his way, and also he gets frustrated, and then kind of
For
phases
sure,
out
for
of the
sure.
offense. But
And I've seen some people already say that the Raiders are already a 9-win team. I don't see that. I know they signed a couple guys in free agency, and we'll get into who else they signed, but I give them 6, 7 maybe.
okay, yeah, that's what I would think too. And I guess we'll see. We might be surprised going into next year or this year. So another key rumor going around is Mark Ingram, where he's going, what it possibly could be. But there was a little bit of swirls around him actually maybe signing back with the Saints again, and it comes to a surprise when they just signed Latavius Murray to a 4-year, $14 million deal, and you have Kamara there. So I'm not sure if it maybe is just talk, and Ingram is looking still elsewhere. But if teams are scared he might resign, maybe they offer him more. So we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
What we recently read was Mark Ingram was agreeing to a deal with the Saints for only $3.5 million, which makes no sense. So that may be false. Don't quote us on that.
Yeah, and that goes to show also with Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not sure if you read what he was talking about, but he's re-signing with the Saints because he spoke to reporters saying that he wants to be the starter once Drew Brees is gone. So he
That's
took a pay cut.
Okay, I didn't even read that, but that's what I was thinking. I'm like, it's not a bad situation. How many years does Drew Brees have left? And then Bridgewater could
Yeah,
potentially just step right in, honestly.
and I'm trying to think of the team that was offering him, and he refused a lot of money because he said he wanted to try and get the starting job for the Saints. So,
Well, look at the offensive weapons over there once Brees retires.
oh my
So,
goodness. And I have a good
Kamara and Thomas.
So for this episode, we're just gonna break it down. We're gonna do a lot of free agencies, like we just did. We're gonna go through more of the lower key free agencies into the higher free agencies, but we're also gonna take a lot of questions. I have questions off of Reddit and then questions off the SleeperBot, and one of them actually pertains to Odell, and then another one pertains to Michael Thomas off of the Saints. So stick around. We have a bunch of questions to answer. So I'm gonna go into the signings, and let's just go right to Nick Foles. Nick Foles signed a pretty good deal with the Jaguars, and it was for a lot of money. a lot of money that his stats, if you look back on it, it's interesting, to say the least. I mean,
Never
I'll,
played a full season in his career, I don't believe, and he got $88 million.
no,
Well, he got 50 million guaranteed, so it's potentially 2 seasons and he's out.
yep. And looking back at his history, I mean, the most games he's played is 13, and the most he's started is 11. And
Okay.
when he had that 11 game career in 2015 with who was he with there? He was with St. Louis, and had 2,000 yards and only 7 touchdowns.
Ouch.
So
That was under Jeff Fisher, though, I think, so you can't really fault him.
yeah, and I mean his best back in 2013 with Philly. He played 13 games. He started 10 of them, and he had 2,800 yards and 27 touchdowns. But that was like the highlight of his career, and it's still. You look at how last year went, and people are way above that for touchdowns and yardage. So it'll be interesting to have kind of a middle of the road quarterback going in as a starting job for the Jaguars.
We'll see how he. I mean, I feel he has the weapons to be successful. The receivers there, they got a nice trio of receivers, and
Yep, good running back.
they got the running game. I don't know who they have behind Fournette. I'm pretty sure Yeldon was a free agent as well. I know
Yeah,
Hyde.
and
He
he's been
signed with
quiet.
the Chiefs, so
Yeah, Yeldon's been quiet, but yeah, he is a free agent, and it will be interesting. I kind of compare him to the Flacco signing over in for the Broncos and how Flacco's been for his career. Those two in a comparison, it's just a quarterback that you have, and you can kind of look away now and start working on the rest of your team. So it's not something that you're worried about, but it's not something you're happy about either. So, but so Nick Foles, I want to jump over. I'm going to just quickly talk about the quick signing of Devin Funches. He is a signing with the Colts for 1 year. It is kind of strange.
$13 million though for one
Yeah,
year. That's
and
crazy.
looking at their wide receivers they have, I don't know if it's maybe something where they're like Andrew Luck will do well with his receiving
Red
type
zone,
to be,
maybe red zone abilities.
and it makes you question why didn't they go after Tyrell Williams then? And it would have been maybe the same price, a little bit more, but you're getting Tyrell Williams big plays.
I would rather have Tyrell Williams over Funchess all day.
So it was kind of a weird signing to say the least. Devin Funches hasn't really done much in his career. He's played a lot of games. He's pretty much been healthy. I don't know if he's had egging injuries, but he's been a healthy receiver. Been right around that 600 yard average, 600 yard average. So it'll be interesting how he does in the Colts. So who's your guy that you want to talk about, Ryan?
I'm gonna go with early free agency signing Quan Alexander. The Niners signed him,
Okay.
linebacker. He was
Yep.
coming off that torn ACL, and he got 4 years, $54 million. He's a speedster, so he was a top 10 linebacker, and it was a nice quick signing. But I feel like he might be regretting it because of what the money that was handed out to the guys that signed after him.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm like. If I was him, I'd be like, wow, okay, I signed for this, and then you got guys that are tier under me signing for more money. So maybe he signed a little too soon, but it's a good signing for the Niners. They could use him.
Yeah, and for the money for the Niners side of it was a good signing. But yeah, when he starts seeing, it's always the first people that go, and then they set the pace. And
Well, we thought he set the pace, and then then we got the next signing. The Redskins came out of nowhere and just gave Landon Collins a blank check and said, "Here you go. What do you want?"
yeah, what will it
6
take?
years, $84 million.
That is
For
insane.
safety. It's $45 million guaranteed, but that's over the first 3 years. So he's guaranteed at least $15 million a year for the first 3 years of the contract. And even then, that's a lot of money. When I saw the deal, I wanted him on the Packers.
Yeah.
But once I saw the 6-year 84, I'm like, ooh.
Yep, you put your hands up, you're like, hey, take him.
Nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, I'm not paying that.
That's the Redskin, Dan Snyder, the owner of the Redskins. That's him in a nutshell. Like, I remember when Albert Haynesworth was a free agent, he just handed him 6 years, $100 million. He blew everyone out of the water to get the guy. And the guy played, 2 or 3 seasons there and absolutely did nothing.
Yeah.
So he shells out, he brings the wheelbarrows full of cash and says, here, come on, join us, I think it's a good fit, honestly, but it's just, it floored
It'd be
me
nice
how
to
much money it was.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have him, but for that amount of money,
You can't do anything about it. Like you
yeah.
said, you just throw your hands up and say, oh, well,
Yeah.
nothing can do.
Well, let's talk about another good signing then. Tyrann Mathieu to the Chiefs.
I like that signing for them.
Yeah, you're taking a good safety and putting him in on a terrible defense, so that they're definitely going to be chipping away at that defense.
It's a playmaking defense, though.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not a good defense, but they're a playmaking defense. And you're pairing Tyrann Mathieu with who? Eric Berry. He's an all-pro safety. As long as he plays. Last year, I know he missed a lot of time. I maybe played in a couple games, but If he's
And
healthy next to Tyrann Mathieu, that's probably the best tandem in the league.
well, and you have that high-powered offense that keeps the defense on the field all the time because they're scoring touchdowns. So
Yep. Throw
it's
some of those playmakers in the back on defense and get a couple interceptions, and that's how
exactly.
you change the game. So I get
Yep.
where they're going at.
Go less of a controlled defense and more of just
Yep.
trying to take your chances, and
Yep. Exactly.
you get one or two turnovers, and that's already the game. So yeah, I like that. I like the way of looking at it that way. Next one we are going to talk about is Ravens. Terrell Suggs signing with the Cardinals. So they're talking about how he went to college in Arizona State, so it's more of a homecoming for Suggs, and he'll be playing opposite of Chandler Jones. So it
Ah, that's okay. I didn't even know that. I forgot he went there. I was wondering. I'm like, why would he go to Arizona? I didn't know what kind of ties he had, and I
hey,
guess
I'll
that
go to
makes sense.
Arizona. Arizona's
Yeah, no, for sure, for
give me
sure.
the warm weather.
But he's at the end of his career, though.
Yeah,
You think that he'd maybe be going for a ring, and Arizona's far from it. But he got
yeah,
$7 million, and he's in
yep,
a nice place, so he's going to enjoy his time there. He does have a ring. He did get a ring with the Ravens, so it's not like he's not chasing anymore.
yeah. And I mean, I don't have his age in front of me, but last 2 seasons he's got a total of 18 and a half sacks, 7.5 last season. So
Well,
he's
you can
still a
guess his
force.
age. He's a 16-year Ravens veteran, so he's up there.
Exactly.
And let's just talk about the Ravens just for a little bit here. I just want to mention something like their
Yeah,
defense took a huge hit. They lost Suggs.
dude,
They
everyone's
lost
signing
Smith
their
to the
people.
Packers. Yeah, and C.J. Mosley's gone as well onto the Jets. And I mean, that can be our next. We'll talk about Mosley next, but yeah, the Ravens lost key cogs to their defense.
And they're kind of looking away from their defense, and they're looking over and they're saying, Le'Veon Bell, come on over.
The savior. That's what they. I truly believe that if Le'Veon Bell doesn't sign there, or if that Saints report was false and Mark Ingram maybe signs there, that if they don't get a running back that's capable over there, because they have nothing. They released Alex Collins. That I think Lamar Jackson might be exposed next year.
Yeah, we already saw that throwing the ball. He better be working on that every single day on this offseason.
Yeah.
But
Who does he have
Le'Veon
to throw the
Bell,
ball to? John Brown signed with the Bills. Crabtree's a free agent. Who do they have? Literally off the top of my head, unless I'm missing something here, I don't think they have a receiver.
yeah, they're gonna. I can't think of it either. Now that you say it, that's
I'm trying to think. I'm just trying to get a refresher here. I'm not looking up nothing. Okay, I can't think of anything. So I think they're in trouble.
yeah. I
Le'Veon
think they're
Bell's
in
got to be
trouble
the
also.
savior.
Well, let's talk about somebody who's not in trouble, and that's Adam Humphries making money for the
Man,
Titans.
he got paid.
$9 million per year deal with the Titans. How does somebody that's a third string, the Bucks just got him paid? That's
Yeah, because he had a half a year of a good season. That's why I don't.
and he was putting up good fantasy
Man.
points. People had him on their team, and they were winning games with him because of
He was a
the amount
he
of
was
it.
a nice playoff contributor, I think.
Yeah, he hit 100,
fantasy football.
105 targets this year, 76 receptions for 816 yards and 5
That all happened
touchdowns. So
in like the second half of the year too. So
Yeah.
I guess that's big numbers he was putting up. A lot of catches. But
if
to
they're
get paid almost $10 million a year, that's pretty wild to me.
and to have a
Julio
quarterback who
Jones
might
is
be
making
injured.
like $11 million, and you got Adam Humphries making 9.5.
I know. I was. It was funny because I was just looking at Julio Jones and how much he's making, and they were comparing it to like Odell and his new signing. So we'll have to see when Jones comes up on his his free agency. So
Might be a couple years, and he'll be gone from Atlanta just because they didn't extend him. He's not going to re-sign there.
So
I don't
Humphries kind of an interesting signing, and then let's talk about John Brown since you had brought him up. John Brown and Cole Beasley, both going to the Bills. Kind of like a weird, mediocre wide receiver throw.
I said last week the Bills need to give Allen some weapons. These are not the weapons I'm talking about.
No,
It's not.
These are
He needs
weapons.
like an AJ Green or something. He needs something elite to work with.
Yeah, I mean, you can only run John Brown on a streak how many times of him throwing the deep ball.
Exactly.
And then Cole Beasley is just going to be doing slants and
Beasley's
getting pounded in the middle of the field.
He's just a safety blanket. He's nothing special, and they paid, I think, 6.5, maybe a little more for him a year. I don't even know the John Brown deal. I just heard he signed there. So
Beasley got 4-year deal for $30 million with a $14 million guaranteed.
I mean, I'd rather pay that than the Humphreys deal. They're pretty
Yeah,
much the same guy, in my opinion.
yeah, I totally agree. And John Brown had an excellent season with Flacco, but
Well, it worked because of the cannon arm, but so
yeah,
that might work in Buffalo because Allen has a cannon arm. So
yeah.
we'll see.
So that's interesting. And then lastly, that I have on my list, I have two, but coming up on the end for my list is Jamison Crowder. Let me find out Crowder's uh, the deal
Where
that
do you go?
he
The
got.
Jets?
Yeah, he went to the Jets,
Yeah.
and it'll just give Sam Darnold some weapons, I guess.
A
Jameson
safety
Crowder's
blanket.
he's been okay. He's been kind of hyped up a few fantasy seasons in a row
I
without
don't feel he's
producing.
that good. I don't feel he's that good. There was a lot of people
No,
that were pretty excited about that signing, and oh, this is a good signing, and
and he
whatever.
was injured
It
last
doesn't
season.
move the needle at all, in my opinion. It doesn't move
No,
the needle.
no, and he's been right around the 700-800 mark for yardage, and then right around 2 or 3 touchdowns. He had a 2016. He had 7 touchdowns, but yeah, Jameson Crowder's kind of that. He's been hyped up too many times and hasn't done much. So being next to Quincy Enunwa that just got that extension, and then you have
They
Robbie
still got
Anderson.
Robbie Anderson too, so I guess it's not a terrible trio.
Yeah, you got these
It's
two
not
guys
good.
that just got money, and then Robbie Anderson's probably sitting over there like, okay,
Right.
what about me?
That's another team that could use Le'Veon Bell as well.
Yep,
Help out
yep.
Darnold.
And speaking of Le'Veon Bell, just to go off it a little bit more, so the Jets were the front runner, and Le'Veon Bell kind of sent out a few mixed signals saying that he'd rather go to the Ravens, or at least the Ravens would be his more ideal spot.
It's because he wants to stick it to Pittsburgh twice a year.
Yeah, we'll see about that with the Ravens
Yeah.
offense.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, hey, don't get me all riled up here. I'm gonna start
Sorry.
going off on. But the Browns are. Oh my goodness, it'll be
They're in that
fun to
division
watch.
too.
It'll be fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Nice.
But so yeah, that's Le'Veon Bell. We'll keep it posted. And anyone you wanted to talk about, Ryan?
Yeah, I got a couple things I want to say. Jets, they made a big splash and signed arguably the best linebacker in free agency, C.J. Mosley, to a huge deal, $85 million and $51 million guaranteed, and they followed that with the Anthony Barr agreement, which is probably the second best linebacker in free agency, and he actually backed out of the deal and took less money and went back to Minnesota. So that's
crazy.
pretty crappy. It just shows Anthony Barr's. I don't have a good I don't think he's that good of a person. He's the one that hurt Aaron Rodgers and was kind of running his mouth afterwards, and then he pulls this. He's just.
Yeah.
I don't like him. You know.
And to
and
take
then
less
he
money,
does
I mean,
that to a team. It's like, what are you doing, man?
yeah, and to take less money, it only means that either he likes the situation in Minnesota, or maybe he just has family ties there. And
That's
doesn't
what
wanna
I was
move.
talking to my buddy about earlier today. Is the only reason I can give him a pass is if it's family reasons and they
Yeah.
don't want to move their kids and
Yep.
maybe his wife if he has one. I have no idea if this guy even has a wife or kids. I'm not sure, but
No.
I'm just saying if this was the reasoning, I
To
get
take
it.
less money.
Yeah, he took $500,000 less a year, I believe, and might be even be less years total. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what the news is on that, but yeah, I just felt like it was a crappy move on his part.
And then let's talk about Deshaun Jackson going back to play with Carson
Going
Wentz
back
and the
for
Eagles.
unfinished business, back to the Eagles.
So
He gets a new deal on that as well. Instead of playing on his 1 year $10 million, he gets a 3 year $27 million and $13 million guaranteed.
which is good. And as a Philly fan, if I were out there, I'd be excited. I'd be excited to have him back. It's kind of a bad way how they all had that breakup.
That's because
And,
Chip Kelly
and
wanted to
Chip
break
Kelly-
that whole team up.
Yeah, he sold
Michael
everybody.
Vick, LaShawn McCoy, and Deshaun Jackson just shipped them all away.
So
He
it's
wanted
good to have him
start
back.
his own. Yeah. I feel like there's unfinished business for him there, and we'll see what he does. I know he's older. I think he's like 33, a 33-year-old speedster. So we'll see how much longer he has left in those legs.
Hmm.
But
Ex-
I got another topic I wanted to talk about with my Detroit Lions. They signed
Yep.
Trey Flowers of New England. Huge deal, 5 year, $90 million deal. So he got a
That's-
lot of money. He's a good player, but I don't think he's worth that much. So I'm excited, but then again, I'm like, oh man, here we go with the Lions again.
Well, they
I
got
just don't want
Justin
him. I just
Coleman
don't want
too.
him to be a bust. Yeah, they paid a lot of money for him too. So.
Yep. They got money to spend, so they're like, we'll just
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
we won't take any deals. We'll take them all. We'll take them all.
Oh, what the Raiders? They had a lot of money to spend. Like they signed LaMarcus Joyner from the Rams to a big deal. They also signed that left tackle from the Patriots, Brown. Signed
Yeah,
him to a big
Trent
deal.
Brown.
Trent Brown, yep.
Yep.
And they traded for Antonio Brown. So they're making moves. And then, like last couple topics I want to talk about with the free agency was the Packers. Packers were quiet day one, like normal,
usual?
like they
Yep.
always are. And people were freaking out on Twitter.
I
just,
hate reading
oh
those
my
comments.
God,
man.
I couldn't even deal. I couldn't deal with it. I was just like,
My fingers want to type back so bad, but I'm like,
oh,
no,
me too. But it's
no.
not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting into arguments with people that don't really know much about it.
Yeah,
so
the people that are arguing about
right?
having like Le'Veon Bell and stuff, I'm like, in my head, I'm just like tearing.
Yeah, oh for sure. So,
So-
like the Packers, they went out and signed a top 5 safety. He was a top 7 safety this year and this past year, and then the year before that, he was actually the number 1 rated safety in the league. Adrian Amos, they got him
Yep.
to I feel a pretty friendly deal for what the
37
safeties
million
were getting. Yeah,
over
over
4
4 years. And then you got Landon Collins getting 84 million over 6. Like, I'll take the Adrian Amos deal and Adrian
Oh my
Amos
goodness.
all day.
What a discount!
Yeah, for sure.
And he's 25 years old.
Yeah, and he's coming from a good defense. He knows what to do. I think he's going to be a nice safety blanket for that defense at the. And what's also going to help is the Packers signed 2 edge rushers, Preston Smith.
Yep.
Gave him pretty good money for a guy that's not well known. He is a beast, though. I will put it at that. He hasn't missed a game in his career, I believe. So he got 4 years, $52 million, and they can get out of that deal after 2 years without losing anything. And then
he's 26 years old. He's 26 years old.
25 or
also.
26. And then Zadarius Smith was the big piece that they got. I feel he can be a bust. He can be, but he also I feel he's trending in the superstar direction. Playing second fiddle with that Ravens defense. He only started 8 games maybe with them because he was kind of buried. But he came in and he put up 8 to 10 sacks, I believe. He's not like a speedster, but he knows the game. He's both guys that they signed. Both
they're just
both
kind of trying to
Smiths
piece things together.
like power rushers. So I think they're gonna set the edge over there. And the Packers defense in one day literally went from like bottom 10 to top 15.
Yeah.
Maybe top 10 just from that. And it's about time to spend some money on their defense.
And that's
now
all they need. Yeah, now we need offensive linemen.
Now what that does, they signed an offensive lineman from the Broncos, which I didn't want to get into that because I didn't like it. I just don't. I mean, I get the depth, but the guy literally, he lost his job over there, so it's like, it kind of worries me. But I get it. They're going. They must see something in him. Obviously, that's why they signed him. But with all these signings, what helps is the Packers aren't forced to take an edge rusher with that 12th pick. They can take best available player, which more than likely is going to be an edge rusher, but because it's just top heavy with edge rushers. But they could go a different direction and not be forced to take something and maybe mess.
It's nice to have that flexibility going into it.
Yeah, that's what it is. I like what Gutekunst is doing, and he's much better than Ted Thompson. I hate Ted Thompson. I was calling for his head basically the whole time he was there. So,
and it's nice a lot different this year.
It's switched up
night and day.
Yep.
So I was
on the free agent news,
and I was just looking up the Le'Veon Bell because I knew I had a couple of funny stories that were trending. So they were talking about how Le'Veon Bell was looking for a big deal, and most that is coming in is about $11 to $12 million a year, and they were bringing it up, and I tried to find the exact number because the Steelers, if he would have re-signed at the Steelers, would have been more than that already. So
dude, he passed up like $18 million on the franchise tag last year, guaranteed.
So he passed up on that
money. He's barely going
to
recover all that in 2 years with the $12 million, $11 million a year, dude.
Yeah.
It was a horrible business decision to have him sit out last year. That was horrible. Like, I don't understand where his agent should be fired 10 times if he was part of that.
It was only 1 year, so if he got injured, but I mean, you're making so much money.
It's set for life, even if you do get hurt.
Yeah. So that was my. I thought it was kind of funny because he could have played for the Steelers for 18 million and then been a free agent right now, and it would have looked a lot better. But now he's not getting the money, so he's just holding out
I
again.
think it did hurt him in the end.
Yeah. So, but if playing and he had a good season, it would have helped him. So.
Yep.
That will lead us to our second half. We wanted to take a lot of questions, kind of do a huge Q&A. I know Ryan doesn't know any of the questions coming up, but I have a lot of good ones that we'll be able to talk about, and we'll kind of just hit these one at a time. We can get through some pretty quick, and it seems like I have about five or six, and a couple of them are clumped together. So
I like being not prepared for these because you get my raw answer, which is
yes,
good.
and that's what we're looking for because it's right off the top of the head, and it just shows kind of what we're thinking and what we know about football. So I'm going to start it off with I got a couple about Christian McCaffrey, and it's players that you would trade for, or even which one would you rather have. So first off is Christian McCaffrey or Michael Thomas going into the 2019 season. I know it's a running back and a wide receiver, but let's say it's up to you, and you can pick either one. Which one would you go with in the first round?
All right, so this one I feel is very easy, and
Yep.
for those who do know, I love receivers. But I'm going McCaffrey all day, every time. He's literally a top 4 option this year in fantasy football, in my opinion.
He was eating last year, and
What
he was
a beast.
And did he go at the beginning of the second or the end of the
Yeah.
second?
Well,
I think it was
in our league, he went beginning of the third round.
Yeah,
or no, end of the second round.
End of the second for
End of
ours.
the second round. Last pick in the second round, 10-man league.
Yeah, and he went McCaffrey, and then he went.
And then he went Tyreek Hill, which we thought was a reach, but it worked out for him.
It did. Okay, so yeah, that would be a pretty easy one for me too with McCaffrey.
What scared me on McCaffrey though was, I'll be honest, why I didn't take him in the second round when my pick came up was they wanted to give this guy 30 carries a game. I just didn't think he was going, or 30 touches a game. I just didn't think he was going to hold up, but
yeah,
he did. So I would safely pick him in the top 5 of all leagues next year.
And it's still
coming here.
And it's still scary to see that. And now he goes into another season doing it. It always makes you kind of lean.
Even
in
when
your
Cam
chair,
Newton was out, though,
ah.
even when Cam Newton was out, he put up numbers.
Yeah.
So he can do it with anyone.
I'm just talking about wear and tear, kind of injury wise.
Yeah.
You still got to be thinking that same way.
Yep.
So let's jump into another Christian McCaffrey. Now that we know that you draft him in the top 5, and I have him or Todd Gurley.
I'm taking McCaffrey.
And I'm taking
okay,
McCaffrey
This is why. This is the year, like this past draft, I shied away from Le'Veon Bell in all leagues. This year, I'm staying away from Todd Gurley unless he falls to the late first round. I don't even know if I'll take him there. I'll probably go receiver.
Yeah, I don't think I would
second
either.
round is where I want him because of the reports that came out with the tendonitis in the knee, and they're not going to be able to run him like they did previous years, which gave him that top 3 number 1 overall value.
Yeah.
So he's going to lose that.
Well, and then as he was injured, you see him in the playoffs. Is that kind of foreshadowing on? Does he get back to 100%, or is he kind of lingering? Because I know
I'm worried about that tendonitis. It felt like if he could do it, he would have mustered up and played through it like been the old Todd Gurley, but he wasn't. He literally wasn't. He was like a shell of himself from like week 12 on, not even in week 10 on or something like that. Yeah. So that's very scary, and I don't want to invest the first round pick on someone that has question marks like that.
Exactly. And I'm thinking the same thing. Let him go to somebody early. Let them kind of, maybe he'll have a few good games starting off, but I think it's going to be a lingering injury, or it's going to spike up and he's going to fall. So let's just play it as Christian McCaffrey is going to be a solid pick this upcoming year.
I hope Todd Gurley's nothing happens and he's healthy even going into the draft, because for one, for his sake, yes, and for 2, my sake, I want someone to take him as the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 1 overall, 2 overall, 3 overall, because it's just whatever. I know I'm not taking him there, so yes, please take him. That opens up a spot for me. My guy might fall. Whatever,
All right, so, I have an interesting one off the top of my head. So let's say you have Todd Gurley up on the block, or you can take Le'Veon Bell. And let's say Le'Veon Bell's playing in New York. Would you take Le'Veon Bell over Gurley?
Dang, where are we drafting? Where is this?
We're drafting PPR, and let's say you're at the end of the first round, and Gurley dropped all the way to you, and Le'Veon Bell's right there with him. Which one would you take? They're the only two running backs you can take right now.
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go Gurley and then attempt to trade him.
Okay.
That's where I'm going.
Oh, from the
So
loophole. All right, all right.
if you throw me on the spot like that, I'm taking Gurley because of his draft value, and I'm gonna trade him because I feel Le'Veon Bell, probably a second round guy because he missed all last year. You don't know how he's gonna do. He could be a late first round guy. I mean, I could definitely see it. All he's done is put up numbers, but
Yeah.
I'll take Gurley there if I'm
Okay.
forced to take either of those two, and then I'm looking to ship as soon as the draft's over.
I think it's an interesting one. All right, let's do the next question. Is kind of going into this season. It's going to be difficult to judge tight ends after the first 4 or 5. So let's do a comparison between Ertz and Kelsey. Obviously, over the career, Kelsey's been better numbers wise, but Ertz puts up the more attempts for receptions. And what would you say between Ertz and Kelsey going into next season? Where do you think
I'm going to
they're
take
gonna fall?
Ertz. For one, I had him on multiple teams, so he
Okay.
helped me win a couple of championships. So there's one reason. Two, I feel he is the main weapon in that offense. He's the go-to guy, so
Yeah.
that's another thing. The Chiefs have many weapons all over the place. Kelsey is a favorite for sure. He's one of the favorite, and I think Kelsey's the better overall player, but for fantasy-wise, I'm taking Zach Ertz.
Okay, so you're going to take
Just
Ertz
for
over him.
the sheer targets he gets and numbers he puts up. I know they're very similar, but I just feel Ertz was. I could be wrong, but I feel like he was targeted a lot more.
Ertz was last season. He was, but and overall for the last 4 seasons,
Oh,
Kelsey's
yeah.
got the
Kelsey probably has more numbers than him.
yeah.
He has
So
the edge.
but last
But
year
next
Ertz
year,
had
I'll take Ertz over.
156 targets, 116 receptions for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, and then you got Kelsey, who had 150 targets, 103 receptions, but he had 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. So
I want George Kittle, but I'm not taking him with the end of the second round, early third round pick though. It's not happening.
so what do you think? You think that you think Kittle's going to go that high over? So what do you think
Well,
the tight end
I think they're all
landscape
going
is?
to be. I think they're all going to be around the same area. Honestly, them three are going to be the top three off the board. I
Because
feel
I'm thinking a tight end. I guess you could say that the
Ertz,
tight end could
Kelsey,
go second
Kittle.
round, but
I think early second round, possibly one of them could go just for the numbers they put up, and then
yeah,
that's the order. Like the mock drafts I've seen, I've only looked up a few, but I saw Kittle in the third round. So
man. And just thinking about
I'm
it,
not taking a tight end in the top 6 rounds unless there's massive value there.
only time I'm drafting Kelsey, Ertz, or Kittle is if they fall maybe to like 5 or 6. Is where I'll
Okay, I
draft
could
them.
see 5. Yeah, like well,
And
last
that's
year,
still a stretch because I like
last
tight
year I
ends later.
got Ertz in the 4th or 5th, or 5th round, I think.
Didn't you trade him?
Yeah, I ended up trading him. Later in the year I traded him, then got him back at the deadline. So
So
I
tight
had
ends
him
will be
on my
interesting. Whether you reach for one early, I don't ever advise to that. But if one drops
it's
to you,
rough.
where
It's hard to do, man.
because it's hard to put that tight end next to such a big player in like a running back or a wide
Yeah.
receiver.
Like you said, unless they fall to the 5th or 6th round, I would rather grab my 4th receiver there for my flex, or a 3rd running back on the bench over like over Kelsey or Ertz or something like that. It just
Yeah.
matters where they are, how I'm feeling at the time. It's just for me, it's hard to take a tight end because you can find steals later in the draft. And that
Yeah.
goes for QBs as well. I'll never take a quarterback in the top 6 rounds ever.
Yeah, no, me either. I mean, literally last year, pick up Mahomes for the last pick. I mean, it just
Yep.
shows you could find these players, and as the draft's over, you can just go look at free agency. I guarantee there's 2 or 3 in free
Oh,
agency you
there's
can pick up,
guys
so.
even in 12-man leagues you can stream quarterbacks the whole year if you're smart and you're
Yep.
prepared.
Yep,
Um,
defenses
to the
and-
guys who drafted Mahomes or late or picked him up as a free agent, I guarantee they were in the damn near. They had to have been in the championship unless they got screwed.
yeah, or
Unless
they traded him
drafted,
away.
like absolute trash, or maybe they shipped him. But just the
I-
steal of getting him super late, like after the 10th round or as a free agent, it's like he put up 50+ touchdowns.
And what would be your thing for coming up this next season? What do you think? You think he's going to be? I mean, as a
Patty?
quarterback, I feel like he could
I've-
not repeat, but he's going to be a good quarterback.
Well, I don't. It's going to be tough to put up another 50. I mean, he's going to be in the 40s. I feel.
Yeah.
maybe even a couple more rushing touchdowns. But I, I in our league, I see someone taking him in the second round. I don't know where he's projected to go, but I
Man.
can see someone. I could see him second round
Yeah.
because Aaron Rodgers in all of our because we're all from Wisconsin, so he always goes 2 rounds higher than he's supposed to.
Yep.
He hasn't made it past the second round in leagues in a long time.
And I
For
love
me.
seeing that. we
Oh,
love
I
seeing
love
that
it
when we're
too. Oh yes, I love. Dude, take all the QBs in those first 5 rounds. I'm over here just licking my chops. Like yes, here we
because
go.
last season
baby.
people are drafting Wentz in like the fourth
Yep,
or the
Wentz,
fifth, and
Wentz
it's
went in like the 5th round or something like that, or 6th round. I'm like,
it's like
all right,
holy.
okay, yes, please go ahead, take him, take Tom Brady, take, you know,
I'll pick up a Matt Ryan or a
yeah,
Big Ben
for sure. I
or
always
a
go with
Philip
my boy
Rivers.
Philip Rivers because
Yeah.
he'll always put that 22 up, and I got the depth and the 4 good receivers and 2 decent running backs to back
You,
me up.
yeah, you get down to like round 10 to 12, and I'm starting to feel like Jacksonville, where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna draft Nick Foles, but the rest of my
Yeah.
team looks pretty good.
Exactly. There you go. That's
So
funny.
I got one last question before we end it, and if you have anything else to add on to the podcast, this last question is just got a lot more interesting because of today. And I have what wide receiver would you want on your team? DeAndre Hopkins or Odell Beckham Jr.?
Oh man.
Now that Odell is a Brown,
I love Odell, but I think the most gifted receiver probably is Hopkins. He
Hopkins
can do everything. He can do everything. Odell can do everything too, though. But just the hands on Hopkins is insane, and how he can make them sideline catches.
Well,
I'm gonna go Hopkins. I'll go Hopkins.
And Hopkins is just a machine when it comes to games played. I don't think he's missed.
Yep.
I'm
He's a
looking
freak.
at his stats right here. He hasn't missed a game.
He's a
He's
freak,
been
man. Give me
how many
Hopkins.
seasons here? 6 seasons in a
It's
row.
so hard to say, but give me Hopkins.
Exactly. But Odell's gonna be so much fun to watch. Who would be even a better one to Devontae Adams or Odell?
So that was funny you said that. I was talking to Frank earlier today. I'm like, yeah, I joked. I was like, yeah, the Packers traded for Odell. They gave up Devontae Adams and their 30th pick. And I was like, wait a second. No, let's not do that. Adams fits so well with the Packers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, I would in Madden, I would do it, but not in real life.
Yeah, just to be able to throw to Odell.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yep, Odell is a great player, but I think Hopkins is. And the thing is who's throwing him the ball. So.
Look what he did. Well, let's think about that. I guess look at Hopkins though. He didn't have anything thrown him the ball. No good quarterbacks until
It's true.
Watson, and Odell had Eli Manning's noodle arm, dude. So and look what he did with that. He made his like on the slants for 70-yard touchdown. And it's like imagine him with a good quarterback. That's why I wanted to see him with Rodgers. It would just been fun to watch. Or like my dream scenario was Odell to the Lions with Matt Stafford.
Hey, that would have that would have been a lot of fun to watch though.
Definitely. That would have been like Calvin 2.0. That's what he would have been targeted that much.
So actually, you want to know what? I'll do a second one. One last question that I just brought up that would be kind of fun to talk about, and it's which side would you want? Which side wins in a trade? So you have side A, which is Julio Jones, Tariq Cohen, and then you get the second round pick. For B, oh, I already know this from reading it. Todd Gurley and Zay Jones. So I would rather have the Julio, Tariq Cohen, and second round pick. Todd Gurley and Zay Jones.
Oh man, all day.
You got some
All
people in
day.
here though that are saying B, and
Look at that. That's
And
what
that's-
I wanted. That's a good one that you mentioned that because look at Todd Gurley's value right there.
You're
that's
showing.
what I can get for drafting Todd Gurley and flipping him for that stuff. I'm like,
Yep.
okay, give me that. Like what?
And
Wait, is this a second round pick in like a dynasty rookie draft or a second round pick in the
no,
draft?
this is just a draft. This is in the draft, so that's
What?
kind of a no brainer. So
Oh my God! Give me the first overall pick or something. I'm flipping that. I'm flipping the first rounder or first overall. Last year I traded out of the first round. I won the league.
yeah, and trading draft picks is to anybody out there who's debating whether or not, hey, should we trade draft picks? Is it a good idea?
Never
It is-
trade 4 draft picks. Trade them away to get more.
It is
As long as you are confident.
awesome. It is a good time.
In-person drafts, you guys got to do it. It's the best. We switched to it. This is going to be our 3rd year doing it now. So these 2 years that we did it, it's the best time ever, dude. Everyone's talking smack to each other. We got trades going. People talking about trades. What do you want for this pick? What do you want for that pick? The first year, I think we had 4 or 5 trades. This past year, it went up by a couple. So it
Yeah.
makes it very interesting.
And don't be
It,
scared to start it, because once you start it and you do it over the few years, people start getting used to it. As long as you keep the same teams and the same people with those teams, you
yeah,
start getting used to
that's
how
what
it
it is.
works. And as the years go on, more and more people have a good idea of what the trades are and what's going through, and it,
Yep.
it it actually educates your league the more you change the rules and you get used to those new rules. As long as it's a good rule. So
Yeah, I mean
I'm
we got our main league, which is 10-man league, and I would say it's basically the same 10 people every year. With maybe every other year we'll replace one guy,
yeah,
and so
and that
it's been
seems
the same
average.
people.
Seems pretty average for a normal league. So
Yep, and the league's been going on for what? This is going to be the 13th year, I think. So
yeah, we've had a good group. It's changed a lot since when we first started it, but
oh, for
that's
sure, for
it.
sure, it's more
After
professional now.
yeah, after 13 seasons, of course you're gonna lose out on people and you gain new people, and then
Yep,
people stick around.
everyone
So
knows how you draft, and so they kind of plan around that, and they can get their guys and stuff like that. That's why it's still fun though, because it's kind of like the NFL though. All the GMs know all the other GMs. They know their tendencies, so it's kind of like the same thing. So it makes it even more strategic and stuff like that. So I just feel like that's the fun of it. It's a lot
yeah.
better than playing random Yahoo League with 10 other guys that you have no idea who they
Oh
are.
my
It just
goodness.
doesn't bring the excitement for me.
Yeah, it's better to talk to people you know, and it's more fun to joke around and doing live drafts. I mean, Ryan talked to him about when we started doing the live drafts and how that should be the way that we do it every year.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
such a
the
good time.
in-person draft. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, that's the best way to go about it. It's just, it's the best time because everyone's there. Like I said, you're talking the smack. You can say what you want. Like everyone's there. You talk about everything. Years past, you make fun of people in person. Like, oh, you remember when you traded him for him? And they're like, oh yeah, and it's just awesome, dude. You just reminisce on the old times too, and have
And
you
you
learned
keep
from your mistake, so and so? You know what I mean?
and then you got the
So.
draft boards, and you can look back at the
The
draft boards
draft
and
board.
stuff like
Yep.
that.
We save the draft board and look at it the next year and be like, "Wow, I messed up right there." Or, wow, what a great pick. It's just cool to look back on.
All right. Now that we were talking a little bit more, I looked at one more to end the show on for question wise, and we have at Romez asks, who would you rather have in a dynasty league starting now? Would you rather have Kerryon Johnson or Aaron Jones?
Carry on all day. That's
All
my
right, all right.
boy.
All
That's
right.
my boy.
Let's put a little bit of Lions versus Packers there on.
Well, the reason is I just don't. Aaron Jones is not a complete back. He's not. Carry Johnson is.
And even with the injuries, you think Kerryon Johnson?
Yep. I mean, we'll see this year, but I truly believe it. Aaron
Okay.
Jones needs to be. Hey, he's 1A, but he needs a 1B.
Yep. Yep. I would go Kerryon Johnson also. He's very very athletic and very explosive.
I
And
think Carry can handle the 70-30 split, while Aaron Jones has to have like a 60-40 at best.
yeah.
And Carry can even go higher. So
All right. Well, that'll do it. Ryan, do you have anything
that
last
covered.
you want to end with?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just free agency is like Christmas for me, dude.
And
It's awesome time.
what a day. So we have March 12th. Put it in the books as a fun free agency day for 2019, because we went through a ton of players and we were constantly getting reminders. I'm just sitting at work and all I feel is my my iWatch. It just keeps vibrating. I keep looking at it and seeing the next player that gets drafted or picked off free agency or traded. So, and then Odell Beckham Jr. when we first started this one. So it's what a great time, and it's just exciting to see new players on new teams and how teams can form, like the Browns. How you can all of a sudden have the Browns being probably the face of their division. So it'll be a fun week, and we will get back to another podcast where hopefully next week we're talking about Le'Veon Bell, and then we're talking about a few other big free agency signings, and then where people are with draft picks. So ending the show off, make sure that you're following Ryan on his Twitch. It's MVPX20. He's going to be streaming games. He'll be streaming these podcasts. And then you can also follow me on Bowties. It's BOWTYZ in Twitch. and I'll be doing the same. So as soon as we start getting some people that are wanting to ask some questions, we'll be streaming on Twitch the actual podcast itself. So during a podcast, we can answer questions live.
Live questions. I can't wait for that moment when it does happen, or if it does. That's
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And then you can follow MVP Sports Podcast. We're going to be on iTunes. I'll have to double check here after this podcast, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get accepted today. And then also you can find us on Stitcher, and you can find us on Twitter once we make our Twitter handle for MVP Sports Podcasts. And then we'll be tweeting come next year, I'm guessing, is when we're going to get a little more active with the tweets as soon as the season starts and people want to follow us and want to listen to what we have to say. We're both going to be in that Twitter clicking away. So besides that, I have nothing else to say. Also, check us out on YouTube. We have the YouTube channel. It's MVP Sports and Fantasy Podcasts. And if you wanted to search it a little bit further, you can go MVP Podcast Tyler or MVP Podcast Ryan, and you should be able to find us. I put every single episode up with our logo MVP. So I appreciate everyone listening, and we will catch you back here next week for more action. Ryan, you want to say goodbye?
All right. See you guys. See you on the next episode.
All right. See you.